With you about a very important subject like public policy. I'm indeed grateful to Mint for giving me this opportunity, particularly when I see the significance of today. It was on this day, 9 years ago, that Honorable Prime Minister was sworn in to lead the nation with an absolute majority government after nearly 3 decades. I had the privilege to work with him over the last 9 years, learn a lot from his very unique style of governance, focused on intent and vision. And public policy ultimately helps us in translating that intent and vision into action. Public policy also is a framework which helps ensure non-discriminatory working of government. It helps you ensure fair play and transparency. It helps you give a good deal to the people of India. And therefore, on this very important day, the 9th anniversary of the Modi government, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the people of India for giving us this opportunity to serve, for giving us this opportunity to bring a new future for the nation, for the people of India, a future full of confidence, a future which is based on our own strengths, a future which rests heavily on the traditions, the culture, the huge history that we have inherited. It is no mean achievement that a country which was considered a fragile five country in 2014, when we took on office, has today transformed into the engine of growth for the world, into the 5th largest economy across the world, into a stable, organized, honest nation, recognized and respected all over the world for the huge achievements over 75 years of independence, more particularly the transformation that we have seen in the last decade, which has brought us to a situation, a strong macroeconomic position that we are finding ourselves in today. High growth, the fastest growing large economy in the world, strong foreign exchange reserves, bringing stability to our economy, to our currency, outperforming most of the developing countries. Low inflation. We had a very small period where inflation went up only from about 4.5% to 6.5%, against most parts of the developed world, seeing inflation go up from 1 or 2% to 10 and 11%. Juxtapose the Indian performance to that, and you will realize how the strong fundamentals of the economy helped us tide over COVID, helped us tide over the Ukraine conflict. In fact, emerged stronger from every adversity, converting challenges or crisis into opportunity. A country where probably for the first time today in many, many decades, we see interest rates at the same level as interest rates prevailing in many parts of the developed world. A country of 1.4 billion aspirational young boys and girls, providing the engine that our growth truly requires. After all, our young population, the demography that we are very proud of, full of talent, full of skills, both managerial or otherwise, our people's strength, which also translates to a huge consumer base, a demand that is unparalleled, and our democracy, the rule of law, the transparent government systems and public policy making, the 3 Ds, democracy, demography, and demand, are today driving India's future, India's potential. Friends, never before has India had a place in the global stage as we have today. We all saw the recent welcome and adulation that Prime Minister Modi received in his 3-nation tour. And it's not something new. We've been experiencing that for the last almost 9 years. Wherever Prime Minister Modi went, whenever we had visitors from across the world come to India, the confidence of the nation that they saw, the spirit of 1.4 billion people that they experience, the way the country is moving forward in the field of technology, with infrastructure unparalleled anywhere in the world being created, be it the expansion of our airports from 74, barely 9 years ago, to 148 today, double in only 9 years. Inland waterways, from nil, there was no recognition that inland waterways has a role to play, to nearly 114 inland waterways developed or under development in a short span of 9 years. Huge increase in our port capacity, transformation of the Indian railways in speed, in scale of growth, new lines, the dedicated freight corridors coming up, and the new experience of the Vande Bharat trains. 20 trains already in operation, touching more than half the districts of the country, taking passengers in a mode of travel, a transport, an experience that we never had prior to 2014. Friends, the country is on the move. The country is taking huge, giant steps to further the dreams and aspirations of 1.4 billion people. These aspirations are today driving India's public policy framework, and the public policy framework, coupled with a decisive leadership, a strong government, a government led by a decisive leader who today, for the last 9 years, not only in India but across the world, has been recognized as the most popular leader, both nationally and internationally. A government committed to transparency and honest government, right from the word go, whether it was the auction of coal mines or mines, which were changed from allocation to favored friends and family, to a transparent, equal opportunity auction, where everybody had a chance to participate. And for every project thereafter over 9 years, without fear or favor, the government can proudly claim that we gave equal and fair opportunity for everybody to participate and help us grow the Indian economy with the highest level of probity and transparency. The digital technologies that we have engaged with in a big way are a matter of pride for every Indian recognized again across the world. Whether it was UPI, which has helped democratize financial transactions, or the Jan Dhan accounts, the massive program for financial inclusion. The Aadhaar cards, which have been, or the Aadhaar number given to almost every Indian today, with nearly over 1.3 billion Aadhaar numbers, coupled with the massive growth in mobile telephony. 4G already across the length and breadth of the country, 5G launched a few months ago, rapidly going across the country, and by the end of calendar 23, most major cities would be on 5G. This jam trinity, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile, helping us take the benefits to the people, the most deserving sections of society, directly to the consumers, to the beneficiaries, has helped the country save lakhs of crores of rupees. And friends, that is your money. That is money that you have worked hard to earn and pay taxes. That saving has gone back to provide free electricity connections to all those who did not have it. 67 years after independence, it was unbelievable that large parts of India did not have electricity connections. And over 3.5 crore homes did not even have electricity in their homes. It was unimaginable that about half of the country's population did not have a toilet. Your hard-earned money, paid in taxes, saved through honest government, helped us provide 11.27 crore families with a toilet, with dignity, what we call an Izzat Ghar. Our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our daughters deserve this basic dignity of having a toilet. Our women folk, in most cases, would have to cook, particularly in the poorer families, on the traditional chula, over coal, over wood. It was reported that that was equivalent to 400 cigarettes of smoke. So that was the element of smoke going into the lungs of every one of our mothers or sisters who sat on the chula. It is no mean achievement that today the country has 100%, nearly 100% coverage of cooking gas, fast transforming to piped gas. And with piped gas bringing down the cost so significantly that it will become almost a common amenity like water or electricity. Friends, we are all aware that water is a means which transmits diseases in a very big way. We have embarked on Nal Se Jal, a mission that has already taken water from a tap to over 8 crore additional homes. From 3 crore in 2014, today over 11 crore homes have water from a tap. The Jal Jeevan mission aspires to have every home connected with water from a tap over the next 2.5 years. And I can keep going on and on and on. Who had ever imagined the world's biggest, largest, and most transformative healthcare program will be successful in India? 50 crore of our less privileged brothers and sisters eligible for free healthcare. Even Obamacare had failed with such a small coverage. We, on the contrary, have succeeded. Whether it is providing twice the eligible food grain to 80 crore brothers and sisters less privileged throughout the COVID period, 28 months, double the eligibility of food grain being given to 80 crore people is a matter of pride, not for me or for the government, but for each one of you who contributed to helping make that happen. Nearly $50 billion was spent on it. 4 lakh crores were spent on that. But I'm sure every one of you in this room will be happy that not a single child had to sleep hungry. There was no starvation death in India, unlike what happened in the Spanish flu, where more people died of hunger than of the Spanish flu itself. And it's not only the big programs. I see a number of young girls here today. You come from a section of society where you have not seen the pain of a child having to drop out, a girl child especially, only because there was no toilet or no sanitary pads for those young children. It is only a leader who comes from a humble background, who's seen poverty at close quarters, who's lived that difficult life, who can understand the difficulty of a girl child. What was one of the first programs you took up? A toilet, a separate toilet for girls in every school or college in the country. Prime Minister was ridiculed. Oh, which Prime Minister on 15th August from the ramparts of the Red Fort talks about toilets? But we are proud of that. We are proud to have a Prime Minister like him, whose first initiative was a separate toilet for girl child in every school or college. And over the years, almost 50 crore sanitary pads have been made available at 1 rupee a pad. So your annual expenditure for a child, for a woman needing those pads in a year is kept at probably $1, around 190, 100 rupees. So that no woman in this country ever is deprived of a basic amenity like a sanitary pad or a toilet. Over 9,000 Jan Aushadhi stores providing low-cost medicines, generic medicines, so that common man doesn't have to suffer, also ensure that sanitary pads are available in a big way at 1 rupee a pad. Friends, all of this and much more are reflective of a leader full of empathy, a sensitive person, desirous of doing more. Obviously, you all also expect more. As they say, ye dil mange more. And rightly so. That is the aspirational India that is driving India's growth, India's future. Our future to become a developed nation, our future to become a prosperous nation, where prosperity is for all. It's inclusive. It reaches every home. And that, friends, is the collective mission of all of us. You may be working in a media house. You may be a college student. You may be doing your business, big or small. You may be working in government. All of us collectively, 1.4 billion Indians, desirous of a better future for this country, have come together with a sense of duty, with a collective commitment to bring back India's glorious days once again. And friends, public policy is all about that. How do we work for a better future for the public? How do we provide a better future to the public? And as they say, and I think this is an old adage, ye public sab janti hai. And my belief is that the people of India recognize what has happened in the last 9 years. The people of India recognize the new India that is emerging, the new India that is taking wings. a new India, thanks to the support and blessings of all of you in this room, across the country, who gave an opportunity to Prime Minister Modi, not once, but twice over at the center, that we are today in a position to aspire for a very, very bright future for our children and for generations thereafter. Indeed, very grateful to all of you for your support, for your commitment to a better India, and grateful to the Mint for giving me this opportunity to engage with you, to talk to you, to share with you some of my thoughts on this very auspicious 9th anniversary of this government. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Piyush ji. And I think we got a glimpse of the passion and empathy the Honorable Minister has for the people that he has been chosen to serve. Piyush ji, considering that you have difficulty speaking, that is a bit evident. I don't want to have a Q&A between us. I just thought we will give some of the members of the audience, especially the students of public policy who are here. If you would like to ask the minister some questions, please raise your hands and we'll get a mic across to you. As you think of questions, perhaps, I will kick off with a question, and then, Piyush, throughout the day we've been talking about execution of policy, a measurement, feedback loop. What is your personal approach to choosing the right people, or how does the political bureaucratic interface happen? Especially coming at it from the context of, so one of the schemes that we have recognized today as a success showcase is the GEM marketplace, the GEM marketplace under your ministry. It was discussed during a panel this morning, and one of the bureaucrats said that the great difficulty is in finding people, competent people and bureaucrats, that kind of capacity who can run projects like the GEM marketplace. How do you do that?
Well, I am grateful to you for that question. It truly, in a way, reflects the working of this government. Of course, the young boys and girls in the room may not know much about it, but some of us more wizened old people here will remember that government in the old days, normally one would say good old days, but in this case, I certainly can't use that adjective. There was a department called Director General of Supplies and Disposal, DGS&D. That was run out of the address where today Commerce and Industry Ministry has a new building called Vanijya Bhavan. It was a small barrack, discrepit, unorganized, few people sitting there, registering contracts or registering suppliers who would then be eligible to supply their goods or services to any government or government department. I can share with you that as a young entrepreneur, when I was actually studying for my chartered accountancy, I had started a small factory. I had myself come to that office to try and register what I wanted to sell. I couldn't even enter the gate. I was thrown out of the gate. Because it was a preferred club of suppliers who were all pura setting hui hui thi sab kuch. Everything was set and it was organized in such a way no newcomers were welcome. Or I didn't know how to crack the system maybe. When Prime Minister Modi came into government, and the total sales out of that were about 5,000 crores or so. You had to pay huge bribes to get registered there. You could inflate your prices. It was all very well cartelized and managed. When Prime Minister Modi came in, one of his focus areas was transparent procurement, wherever government is spending hard-earned public money. And he said, when the world has moved on to e-commerce, why should government not take the benefit of that? And that's where he conceptualized this gem of a public policy tool, if I may say it. He conceptualized the government e-marketplace, put together a crack team, and in a very short period of time, they developed the government e-marketplace platform, on which we invited suppliers from all over the country to register as suppliers and started persuading governments to start, and government PSUs and state governments, panchayats, everybody to start procuring on that. In the first year, 5 years ago, the total procurement from that was 432 crores. Last year, that is the year just gone by, March 23, we closed for the year procurement of 2 lakh crores. 2 lakh crores procurement in 1 year. The year before that, that is 21-22, it was 1 lakh crore. Nearly doubled. And over the last 6 years, 5 or 6 years, the total sales or procurement through GEM has been about 4 lakh crores. There have been studies by policy experts, by IIM, independent agencies, who have estimated that you're saving anywhere between 8 to 15% through this transparent mechanism of procurement. Because there's no way you can game that system. And we are continuously keeping a watch. If somebody puts any specifications which are out of the ordinary to try and stop fair play, GEM officials and GEM teams are continuously watching the procurement tenders also. The idea being that more and more people get an opportunity. Any of you in this room, any of you, is welcome to register in GEM, speak about your quality, give the best competitive prices, and government orders from central government, state governments, many of them, governments, PSUs at the center and state, panchayats, municipal corporations, and the ecosystem is growing as more and more awareness is created. And this is not about politics. This just goes beyond politics, as I think should most things in public interest or in the country's interest. We're inviting everybody across the country, wherever government money is being spent. Now we've also allowed the cooperatives to come onto it. And to answer your question, there are enough and more young boys and girls, very passionate about the country. They're willing to forego very high private sector salaries and work for a few years in government, because the training, experience, and exposure that you get in government is unique. It actually changes your way of looking at things, the scale at which government works, the type of new things that Mr. Modi, particularly on the technology front, has introduced. So I think I would invite some of you young boys and girls, particularly involved in public policy, to join government. Maybe for a year, 2 years, 3 years, as young fellows, young professionals. We keep coming out with the opportunities for young professionals, lawyers, management students, economic students. A lot of opportunities keep coming, 1 year, 2 years. This engagement with government, or techies for that matter, will really show you a new world, particularly when we are trying to bring in honesty and transparency in whatever the government does. And we always solicit ideas. There's a lot of stakeholder consultation. I myself meet with people who are suppliers on GEM, who are buyers, the government bodies who are buying on GEM, keep getting feedback. Public policy's biggest strength, or government working biggest strength, emanates out of engagement with the stakeholders. And I see these opportunities also as an opportunity to hear from the people and understand their aspirations so that we can fulfill them. So GEM has been really an absolutely wonderful example of how honest, transparent public procurement can be made public policy. And as I said in the beginning, public policy is all about transforming or transferring your vision and your intent with action on the ground. GEM is that action. And youngsters today, I'm glad to report, and government officers, bureaucrats also, when they get involved with Mr. Modi and his team, they themselves also start looking at things with a more modern perspective, with a more transparent outlook, with honesty at the very core of whatever decisions are taken. So it's a joint effort, and I compliment the bureaucrats as well as the young boys. There are a lot of youngsters in GEM, by the way, and they're all doing fantastic work.
Wonderful. You laid down very eloquently during your address the very creditable and real achievements of this government. What are one or two areas where you feel more progress could have been made?
Well, I think if all the governments in the country took the approach that Prime Minister Modi has taken, and he's told all of us in the cabinet many times that, look, until the elections, we are all working, trying to get votes, criticizing, all of that. Once the election is over, now we are representing 140 crore Indians. Now it's not that this is BJP, this is another party's government, this is a third. All of us have to work in tandem. All of us have to work for the collective good of the people. And I do wish in many areas where petty politics seems to prevail and create hurdles to faster implementation of public programs for the good of the people. If we had got better cooperation and support, we could have done much more. For example, if Ayushman Bharat, some of the states have not implemented it. When I'm trying to modernize the fair price shops, I feel I get resistance when I'm introducing one nation, one ration card, or more modern and better implementation of the food grain distribution program. When we are trying to ensure that legal metrology concepts are implemented honestly all across the country, and we decriminalize various laws which are really not required to be there and which create a lot of angst among small traders and business persons. I wish there was more cooperation and more collective wisdom that prevailed. Sadly, I find that some people are just too much into politics all the time. And that becomes certainly a detriment to many of the good programs that we would like to reach the people of the country.
Piyush ji has touched upon center-state relations. We will shortly hear from Chhattisgarh CM Bhupesh Baghel ji, who is also here. So we'll get a nice rounded perspective on it. We're going to have to close this session, but Karuna, one quick question we'll get across to you. Could we get a mic very quickly to Karuna in front, please?
I have two questions. I'm a public policy specialist working on youth and women in particular. So I have a question relating to women and youth. One, I find it very endearing that you speak about young people with such passion, and it's really nice to hear that. So one is that we know that the future of work, which is essentially labor market disruptions that are caused because of automation or climate change, they are leading to a lot of effect on agriculture, manufacturing, construction specifically. And female labor force participation rate is getting affected disproportionately. So what would be some of the efforts that the current government is making in trying to bridge the digital divide so that the female labor force participation rate is not affected as a result of digitalization?
I do believe that over the last 9 years, if you were to compile, and I'm happy to send you a compilation if that helps, the amount of work done to help female participation expand its frontiers is phenomenal, right from increasing the ability of, as I said earlier, the girl child to complete her education, opening up the doors for more opportunities for our girl child, whether it's longer maternity leave for our women, the basic needs, I'm told sanitary pads and toilets were the two largest culprits which cause cervical cancer. I don't know right or wrong, but some doctors have given me to understand that these were very critical for women's health. The fact that in various government agencies or government hiring, or today we find in the projects of the private sector also, a lot of respect is being given to the genders, equality and equal opportunity for women. Take the textile sector, for example, which also I'm looking after. In garment making, between 70 and 80% of the workforce is women. And the government, through Samarth scheme, is funding the skilling of all the women who get an opportunity. I remember, right now there's a little recession in the Western markets, the developed world. But about a year ago, when I went to Tirupur in Tamil Nadu, I was told from the stage that, sir, we need 50,000 women in our workforce. We'll skill them and they'll get a job on day one. We'll pay them as we skill them. That is the demand for our women workforce also. Electronics industry we are promoting in a big way, as you might be aware. Apple has come in. We are now the world's second largest mobile manufacturer. Almost the entire mobile industry is run by women in a big way. And I remember the Apple CEO discussing with me and talking with me about women's safety and how they want to make it convenient for women to work. So they had requested, and then we discussed it with many organizations, and we found that that would be a good way to support women in a bigger, to get more jobs. They had requested the Karnataka government and Tamil Nadu government, where they were setting up plants, to allow 12-hour shifts without compromising on the total number of hours. So 48 hours are allowed to be worked for women to work. They said keep it 48, allow 12-hour shifts so they can go during daylight when the shift changes. Both shifts will start and end at a daylight hour. And we'll arrange for their transport, so safety of women is ensured. In addition, for the extra 4 hours that they'll work every day, they'll get overtime wages. So for the same 48 hours, they can work, they can earn more money. They get 3 days off, so they can spend more time with their children and other needs that a woman may have. Should somebody need more income, the overtime that they do on the 5th day will almost get, I think, triple overtime or something of that sort. So they did all of that. Tamil Nadu government, after passing a law, I don't know, they backed out soon thereafter. I can't for the life of me understand how that was not good for encouraging women participation. I just hope the Karnataka law stays on the statute book. So there's a lot of things that are happening. Climate change is certainly a challenge, but the world today recognizes India is at the forefront of the fight against climate change. For your information, we have a UNFCCC report that we are required to, every country is required to file every 2 years. Many countries don't. We are amongst those who files every 2 years. There was a recent ranking which was ranking all the states on their INDCs made at Paris, at COP21, the commitments we all made in Paris. You'll be happy to know India ranks 4th in that. We are the 4th best performer in the whole wide world when it comes to our fight against climate change, our commitment to sustainability. In fact, we are the only G20 country in the top 10 names. So this is one nation where we don't need to preach or teach about climate change or sustainability. For all of us, it comes naturally. And before we close, I saw the message you've got. I'll just say one thing, again, for all of those who are older in the room. I remember when as a child, if I ever left a room without switching off the fan or the tube light, उन दिनों में tube light ज़्यादा चलती थी हमारे घरों में. If I ever left the room without switching off the fan and tube light, my mother would give me a spank, which would make sure that next time I don't do that mistake. Of course, in today's world, we can't, and we shouldn't also, spank any of our children. But we can at least educate them, involve them, because every unit of electricity saved is nearly equal to 1.3 units of electricity generated. And imagine the huge saving which goes towards a sustainable future, a better future for all of mankind. We are committed to leave behind, friends, a better world for you to live in than the one that we inherited. Thank you.
Piyushji, it's always a pleasure to listen to you. Thank you so much for being with us here today. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to Union Industries and Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We are absolutely delighted for your presence, sir. Can we have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, requesting you all to kindly be seated as we have next in line. We'll be soon joining by Honorable Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, Shri Bhupesh Baghel ji, in a short while. Requesting you all to kindly be seated as in right after this, we'll be joined by Shri Bhupesh Baghel, Honorable Chief Minister Chhattisgarh, in conversation